What now?
A lot of chatter coming. I can only identify the member from New Westminster Burnaby.
Oh, you can't hear with those ears?
Record. How can arrogance and incompetence so comfortably reside in one man? Yeah!
God, the way he talks, man. Like he just threw that together. Oh. Order! Clinton Jaws, please subscribe. The Bloc, the Leader, came out today. Spoke to reporters. Wants to topple the government. Kind of a big deal. Guys, there might be a Christmas election. I want you to hear what Big Daddy has to say here. The deadline was today. He gave Trudeau till today. What does he want? He wants more money for the seniors. He wants to up their pension. Trudeau said, nah, I'm not going to do it. So now he wants to call an early election. And isn't it amazing? Trudeau won't give money to seniors, up their pension, but he'll give money to another country. He'll support a war in another country, but he won't support Canadians. All he does is talk French, guys. I mean, I had to fast forward through so much French. Canada's 80% English. All he does is talk French. So the English-speaking reporters, they're trying to fight. They're trying to make him speak English. They're trying to get in there. Listen to this.
De l'entente avec les libéraux, il y a un prix politique lié à tout ça.
Can you just outline in English for us where the Bloc Québécois position is?
I'm sorry, we'll have to start
Just
again.
in English, can you outline where the Bloc Québécois position is after the deadline has not been met by the Liberals?
I'm sorry.
What? Can you outline what your party's position is now that the deadline has not been met by the Liberals?
Our party position is exactly what we said 5 weeks ago. The government was invited to pass into laws two bills that came from the Bloc Québécois.
Okay, you're putting me to sleep.
Approved and supported by all parties in the Parliament. They had until October 29th, which is today, to deliver that, which they did not do. We said 5 weeks ago that if we were not to receive that, if 4 million of Canadians between 65 and 74 years old were not to receive what we asked, if producer under supply management regime were not to get what we asked, we were to start discussing with opposition parties in order to have this government fall. And this is exactly what we are starting to do as of now.
Are you open to another conversation? If the government comes to you today, tomorrow, even the day after, are you open to a conversation to keep that going if you get what you want?
Have they come to us yesterday or the day before? No, we haven't got what we wanted.
No.
If before, of course, if before they fall, they give us all we have asked under the terms that we have described, we don't have a choice but to take it. But we are not negotiating anything as we speak. We are negotiating with opposition parties in order to have the government be.
He's negotiating with the Conservatives
well,
and
if they give you what you ask for, even if it's after this date, does that mean they regain your support?
Let's say that if they give us exactly all we have asked for before they fall, because if there's a vote tomorrow, they might fall tomorrow, we will look into it and we will be coherent with all what we have said so far. We want precisely what is in Bill 3, C319 and in Bill C282. Bring that to us and we'll discuss. But in the meantime, they are seriously in danger to fall.
Jagmeet Singh has said he's ready for an election. Jagmeet Singh has said he's ready for an election, but he doesn't want one. Are you ready for an election, and do you want to have one right now?
Both. I'm ready for an election. That was one of the reasons why we said 5 weeks ago that we were giving ourselves and the government 5 weeks. 5 weeks to go through the bills, which they didn't do. 5 weeks so that there would still be time to go into election before having an election which would be between Christmas and New Year's Eve. And 5 weeks in order to be absolutely ready to go into election tomorrow morning. Not only are we ready, but we might be expecting that with enthusiasm.
Guys, there might be an election this year, Christmas time. They're going to vote for one. The Conservatives are going to vote for one. And if my math is right, I might be off because I'm thinking about this out loud. I believe they only need 24 more votes. 24. Anyways, I got to watch Question Period. Bye-bye.
Canadians have learned when Conservatives make promises, you've got to check the fine print. And the fine print on this one is cutting programs that are investing in building new homes right across the country, working with municipalities and delivering the homes that Canadians, particularly young Canadians, need. Now, if the Leader of the Opposition actually cared about young Canadians, he wouldn't be standing against the fact that we're asking wealthier Canadians to pay a little more in taxes to help young Canadians with buying a home, with creating a future, with creating the jobs that they need. We're going to continue to invest in young people for intergenerational fairness while he gives tax breaks to wealthiest.
What is that all about? Tax breaks to wealthiest.
The Honourable Member for Bellay-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, all the parties in this House supported at various stages different measures. One, to help 1 million retirees in Quebec and across the country, and others to support farmers. We gave the government 5 weeks, and then the government said no. I'm wondering if the Prime Minister is saying that our proposal is bad because they voted in favor of it. And why does he not ask the relevance of the question to Quebecers? Can we stop this nonsense and trigger an election, Mr. Speaker?
Oh, I gotta watch this. I don't even know if I'm gonna. Maybe I can air this. God, his head is round.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
He didn't mute the
mic.
mic.
We can clearly see who is here in this House to play politics and who's here to work.
Oh. Calm down.
I
know you guys don't like listening to this in
Prime
French,
Minister to start from the top,
so I
please.
can't put this on.
Mr. Speaker, we can clearly see who here in this House is here to play petty politics and who is here to deliver
I didn't even mean to
for
do this.
Canadians. It's exactly what we are doing by providing dental care across this country to help
Cleanings.
almost 1 million Canadians with dental care.
Oh, yeah.
And we have been here to invest.
I need a stick.
Look
at that lady's head.
Spots, and we're going to
That's all she
continue
does.
to be
Can you
here
even
to
see it?
deliver
Yeah.
insulin
Insulin.
free of charge for people who need it,
Rubbers.
who cannot afford it, and to provide contraceptives,
Condoms.
For people who need it. We have work to do.
We all
and
need
we are
it.
doing it for Canadians.
But I think we could buy it on our own.
Honourable member from Burnaby South.
Rogers is ripping off Canadians with hidden
Groceries.
box fees.
What about
The Conservatives
groceries?
laugh about this while Canadians get ripped off. Very interesting. The Liberals help them do it by allowing the merger, the multi-billion-dollar merger.
Talking
with
about
Shaw.
cable.
And the Conservatives not only are laughing, but they don't care about it because the Conservatives.
Nobody watches cable.
Big checks from Edward Rogers. Oh, that makes sense. I get it now.
We watch the internet. Uh-oh.
Colleagues, in order for us to get through question period and that require time, it's important that members not be interrupted and that the chair can hear the question. And invite the honourable
Good
member
point.
from Burnaby South to start from the top and to ask his question. The honourable member.
I hope they laugh again.
I'm curious if the Conservatives are going to laugh again when I mentioned that Canadians are getting ripped off by Rogers, who is charging them hidden fees every month when they rent their TV box. Now, I know that the Liberals have helped Rogers do that by allowing the multi-billion-dollar merger with Shaw. The Conservatives don't care about helping Canadians because their leader gets big checks from Edward Rogers. But my question is to the Prime Minister, will he commit today to forcing Rogers to reverse these fees or ban them from receiving any federal contracts?
cable is really high,
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
but nobody
Speaker,
gets it.
Over the
Nobody.
past number of years, we've seen
buys it.
data fees and cell phone fees decrease across this country.
What?
Because of the efforts this government has brought in
What?
for more competition
Decrease?
and for support for consumers. We know there's always more to do. We're going to continue to hold the telcos to account to deliver high-quality services to Canadians at affordable prices. That's something that we will continue to be there for.
You're a tit.
The Honourable
Will the NDP finally break off its costly coalition with the government and call a carbon tax election?
That's a good question.
Again, I listened carefully to the question of the Leader of the Opposition. We've been through this before. At some point, the chair is going to have to cut questions if we continue to have questions which don't deal with the administration of government. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the very angry housing minister has been up all night trying to dream up some snarky comment in response to the very popular announcement Common Sense Conservatives made yesterday to axe the federal sales tax on homes under $1 million. Something that his own advisor, Dr. Mike Moffat, has said is the most bold announcement of any federal party for middle-class home ownership. He took my idea on GST for rental housing. Will he accept this common sense plan to axe the tax?
40 grand.
There's
Well, what
a
now?
lot of chatter coming. I can only identify the member from New Westminster Burnaby.
Oh, you can't hear with those ears?
I would warn other members, please, to not take the floor unless recognized by the chair. It's important for question period to happen during the time that it's supposed to happen. The Honourable Minister for Infrastructure, Housing and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, with all the time and energy he spends on me, I'm going to have to send him a check for the time I've been living rent-free in his head. But, yes, make no mistake, the Conservative leader
hilarious.
announced he would make
Hilarious.
multi-billion-dollar cuts to programs that will get homes built in this country. Now, he knows that, and we can agree on that piece. What he doesn't know is his caucus
Picking her
colleagues have
nose.
been going behind his back, writing me letters advocating for their communities to receive
come
funding
on.
through the Housing Accelerator Fund because
Whoa.
they believe it will get more homes built. My question for the Conservative members of his caucus, will they have the courage to stand up and tell him he's wrong?
They really think he hit it out of the park? Oh, calm down.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, it's the only rent he hasn't doubled. And nobody else has to tell that member that he's wrong because he told himself. This is what he said about his own Housing Accelerator Fund.
What'd he say?
Let me quote him. The Housing Accelerator Fund doesn't actually go towards the cost of building houses. It doesn't actually lead to the construction of specific homes. The Housing Accelerator Fund doesn't actually directly build homes. And he's right. Since he started forking over these big checks, construction has gone down in the major municipalities that has received it. So will he cut the bureaucracy, axe the tax, and build the home?
Ask all members once again, including the member from Hamilton Centre, to please not take the floor.
It's Tuesday, isn't it?
The Honourable Minister for Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, there was a time not so long ago when the Conservative leader was actually advocating the government do more to increase density near the services that people need. Infrastructure already exists. There was a time when he was actually advocating to do something to reduce development
Got
costs
the right hand
to
going.
make it cheaper to build homes in this
the
country.
left.
There was a time he was advocating the government do something to actually speed up the process of permitting.
Right
Now
here.
that we've actually moved forward with billions of dollars of investments that are getting homes built, making changes, he's changed his view and says we should do nothing on any of these programs and blames the government for making the investments he
There we
once
go.
thought was
Yeah.
a good idea. We're going to do what it takes to build homes. I wish he'd join us.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he's done precisely the opposite. Since he gave Toronto $500 million, that city hall has jacked up development taxes by 40%. No wonder construction is down 20%. That's probably why Dr. Mike Moffat, the minister's housing advisor, said that it's hard to deny that the Housing Accelerator Fund is turning out to be nothing more than a heist. of tax dollars flowing from the feds to the municipality. So enough with the heist. Won't he cut the
Heist.
bureaucracy, axe the tax, and build the home?
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, I sometimes ask myself where they found this guy. He twists the facts to suit his narrative whenever he wants. It's almost like the Conservative Party, when looking for a new leader, hopped on Temu, typed in far-right Conservative, and then spit this guy out instead. He opposes investments in affordable housing. He borrows lessons
He's
from
been saving that
south
one.
of the border when he opposes birth control for women. During the January 6th of Canada, the convoy, he wasn't just telling people to stand by, he was bringing them coffee in the streets. Mr. Speaker, it might be election season in America. We don't need this far right-wing populism here at all.
Far right wing. Whatever that means. Oh, yeah. Made a joke about Team
The
U?
Order.
You're not a stand-up comedian, dude. You totally blew
The
that
Honourable
joke.
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, speaking of leadership contestants, that member must be so uptight and angry because the polling shows that though Canadians want to fire that Prime Minister, the Housing Minister ranks dead last in the polls to replace him. And why wouldn't he? This is the guy who lost track of 1 million people when he was Immigration Minister. He ignored warnings from his own department that letting in 200% more people would cause a housing shortage. And his own government spent the last week trashing his entire immigration record. How can arrogance and incompetence so comfortably reside in one man?
God, the way he talks, man. Like he just threw that together. Oh. Order! 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 I don't even know if you guys can hear this. I don't even know why I'm doing this. Maybe I'm losing my mind.
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader asks how arrogance and incompetence can live so comfortably in one man. He manages to show us every single day.
Oh, just no good.
While he's concerned about my polling numbers, I'm concerned about helping people in need. We put billions of dollars on the table to build or repair hundreds of thousands of homes in this country so vulnerable Canadians have a roof over his head. Let's look at his record. The worst level of home building in the last 10 years.
6.
And when he had the chance to help the most vulnerable, he simply got 6
Most
units
vulnerable?
built across the entire country.
You mean the
only
homeless?
thing he's done to help vulnerable people is show up with
The
a video
crackheads?
camera to treat those living without a roof over their head as props, and it's unacceptable.
He's excited
The Honourable
today.
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the sum total of the chaos in our immigration system that happened under this government happened while he was the minister. His own subsequent Liberal successor has now denounced him and blamed him and his policies for the housing shortfall we have today. And now as housing minister, since he took office, the number of young people who own a home has gone from 47% down to 26% as he builds bureaucracy to block homes. Why doesn't he realize his failure, accept my common sense plan to axe the tax and build the home?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
What? Oh.
À l'ordre, s'il vous plaît.
Order.
Please.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition has
Martin
said
Miller.
there's been consensus on immigration for 150 years. That means he's okay with the Chinese head tax. That means he's okay with not letting Jews in after the Second World War. That means, Mr. Speaker, that he's okay, and we know it already. He was in cabinet. He was okay with the barbaric practice of snitch line. How does he want to fix
What are you
things, Mr.
talking
Speaker?
about?
He wants to use math. Well, the last time he used math, he was the housing minister, and he could barely count to 6.
Oh, man. They talk about slogans? These are really bad. What the hell is she doing?
The Honourable Member for Montcalm.
What? Donations?
With 1 day to go before
Okay.
the start of advanced requests for MAID
I'm obviously not posting this. I didn't mean to do that. I could say, maybe I'll review it. No, I'm not going to get... You're not going to want to see this. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.